Right Track Motoring, your online showcase for everything in the world of motoring.
Hi, my name is Rick Schostek. I'm Senior Vice President at Honda of America Manufacturing in Marysville, Ohio. Really happy to be at the Motor Press Guild today. We're going to talk about Honda's 30 years of manufacturing automobiles here in North America. But more importantly than that, looking to the future, to some exciting opportunities we have for our North American operations, both in development of product and also manufacturing product. The red car is our Accord, built in Marysville, Ohio. Behind that, the CR-V, we build that in East Liberty, Ohio, and also up in Canada, in Ontario. And then the Odyssey minivan, built at our light truck plant in Lincoln, Alabama.
So welcome, everybody. My name is Laura Burstein. I'm the president of the Motor Press Guild. Thank you for coming out today. A lot of times we talk about numbers, we talk about sales, we talk about product. But one of the important things to remember is that if the cars don't get made, there's no cars to drive. So nice to have a presentation with a little bit different angle today. Rick joined Honda back in 1987 as an attorney in the legal department. He tells me he likes to call himself a recovering lawyer, but I don't know if one ever does recover from that. But he went on to serve as general counsel for Honda. He then moved to the manufacturing side, including positions at the Honda plant in Alabama and also in Indiana. He is a native Ohioan. He is now back in his home state of Ohio, where I believe he's fairly new to his current role. I know most of you know that last week Honda announced it would expand its production in its Indiana plant, and Honda intends to focus more on production in North America. So we look forward to hearing more about that, and without further ado, Mr. Rick Schostek.
Thank you, Laura, and good afternoon, everyone. We're really glad to be here today, and myself, I'm very glad to be able to escape the oppressive Midwestern heat. This weather out here is fantastic. I think I might move out here. But we want to today talk about our 30 years of automobile production in the U.S., but more importantly, our future plans, especially in the area of U.S. manufacturing. So 6 months ago, our global CEO, Takanobu Ito, announced in Detroit at the North American International Auto Show that our U.S. R&D and manufacturing teams would take on the development and the production responsibility for the next generation Acura NSX. It was big news. It even earned a few cheers, which was quite unusual for an auto show, and we thought a nice acknowledgement. But inside of Honda, the real news had come a few months earlier. Last fall, in 2011, at a meeting of our global management on our corporate campus here in Torrance, Mr. Ito told us that Honda was at a crossroads. He said it was time for our North American manufacturing operations to step up and play an even larger role within global Honda. So in addition to the responsibility for the development and production of the NSX, it was at this meeting that he asked those of us in North American manufacturing area to take on a new and larger leadership role. And that's something I'll explain more in just a few minutes. Now, this challenge from our global CEO, it wasn't a reward, and it isn't simply the result of exchange rates. We've been dealing with the ups and downs of the global economy for a long time now, since the 1970s. But rather, in making these decisions, Mr. Ito was expressing his confidence in our capabilities here in North America. He noted, for example, that our U.S. plants were annually among the leaders in quality results, with our Indiana plant earning the top IQS Platinum Award for 2011. And just last month, we followed that up with the Marysville plant achieving the Silver Award in North America for 2012. He also reflected on the fact that Honda was approaching the 30th anniversary of auto production in America. And in his view, our associates have great experience and skill in both R&D and in manufacturing. And it was time for us to take that turn in the road toward a new and higher level of responsibility. And in many ways, this is a culmination of the investments Honda has made over the past 3 decades, not only in facilities and state-of-the-art technology, but also in our people. Now, the actual 30th anniversary of our Marysville auto plant is on November 1st. And of course, we're taking the opportunity to look back at this history and the people who helped make it happen. But we really view this as an important time to look to the future and take bold action for the next 30 years of auto operations in North America. What's important is not the milestone of 3 decades of auto production, but rather what it represents. The vision Honda showed in establishing production operations here in America, our commitment to associate involvement, and the teamwork to continue that original vision from 30 years ago, achieving the highest levels of quality in America. Now, as Laura mentioned, I came to Honda in late 1987, and that was just as the company was rolling out what we called our 5-part strategy for North America. I'm sure there are a few of you here today who were covering the auto industry back then. So you might remember that this led to 5 things: a second auto plant in Ohio, expansion of our U.S. R&D operations, a major increase in local parts content, the expansion of production engineering for the creation of tooling and dies, and a plan to export U.S.-made built Hondas overseas, including shipments to Japan. But the one thing I remember clearly about my early days with Honda was how quickly the industry considered our operations to be the benchmark for auto production in North America. We opened our doors to the leadership of factories from all of the Detroit automakers. They wanted to tour the Marysville auto plant to understand how we were building such high-quality vehicles in the U.S. with a high level of efficiency and flexibility. Because after all, you couldn't say that conventional wisdom led to our decision to build the Accord in Ohio. One of Honda's advantages, frankly, in the early 80s was the perception that products made in Japan were of higher quality. Many experts thought we were making a risky move to have Americans build Honda products. So when we started building cars here in 1982, many, even some of our own dealers, were concerned that this would negatively impact Honda's reputation for building products of high quality. What Honda brought to the industry here was a different approach that eventually touched almost every automaker and supplier. We introduced to North America just-in-time parts delivery and rolling model changes for a seamless transition from old model to new model without a production shutdown. We focused on a flexible and efficient approach to manufacturing, removing waste, continuous improvement, and teamwork between Honda associates and suppliers to meet customers' expectations for quality and for value, so that today the quality of almost every vehicle produced in America has risen to the highest levels ever. So you think about that history, and here's the kicker for me, and I think it really speaks volumes. 30 years later, the Marysville auto plant is still on the cutting edge. In fact, about the only thing that hasn't changed about the Marysville plant is that it still builds the Accord, the car that started it all back in 1982. And through it all, we've navigated good economic times and bad without a single associate layoff. Now this fall, we'll begin production of the all-new 9th generation 2013 Honda Accord. And as you'll discover in just a few short weeks, this new Accord is not one-dimensional. It excels in all areas, advancing the Accord's outstanding fun-to-drive performance, high fuel economy, and leading safety features. The same formula that has helped make Accord a Car and Driver 10 Best pick for an unprecedented 26 of the last 28 years. This new Accord is a special car befitting a 30-year milestone. It's a benchmark vehicle. It'll be built in a benchmark plant. This generation of Accord will also feature multiple new powertrain technologies from our new Earth Dreams series, including an all-new 4-cylinder direct injection engine, a new sporty CVT transmission, and also a plug-in hybrid model. Moreover, Accord's new powertrains, the new DI engine, the V6 engines, also the CVT and the 6-speed transmissions, all those are being produced at our engine and transmission plants in Ohio. It's a big responsibility for us, and it's a major challenge. We're investing more than $120 million in the Ohio transmission plant to add a new assembly line for CVT production. I won't take you through all the details, but these two powertrain plants have worked together for 2 decades, and these investments will ensure they continue to be the bedrock of our operations for decades to come. In an industry pockmarked with plant closures, Honda's story in North America has been one of continued reinvestment in our existing facilities to keep them on the leading edge of efficiency, quality, and flexibility, at the same time introducing the newest concepts for ergonomically friendly processes for our associates. Today we have 7 auto plants in North America with 9 assembly lines and an annual capacity of 1.63 million units. This spring, we broke ground for a new plant in Mexico, which will build Fit Series subcompacts and increase our capacity to 1.92 million in 2014. This will help increase the percentage of our sales produced in North America from more than 85% last year to well above 90% in the coming years. In addition to the new plant in Mexico, we're expanding and innovating our existing production operations in Ohio, Alabama, and Indiana. In total, announced investments of $2 billion just over the last 18 months. In Indiana, we added a second production shift last year that doubled annual production volume to 200,000 units. This enabled the plant to add the all-new Acura ILX sedan and hybrid this spring to its existing production of Civics. The Indiana plant also produces the Civic natural gas vehicle, the only mass-produced natural gas passenger car in America. So with production of hybrids and natural gas vehicles, there isn't another plant in North America that can boast that kind of production diversity as Indiana can. Also early next year, we'll add production of the Civic Hybrid in Indiana. Just yesterday, we told our associates in Alabama of an additional investment there, $115 million and 50 new jobs, increasing our capacity there to 340,000 vehicles and engines per year. Collectively, this expansion of our North American operations tells you all you need to know about Honda's confident outlook for the future. When we began our operations in America, the foundation of the company was not on investment in buildings and equipment, but rather it was built on how our associates learned to focus on customer satisfaction with a high level of teamwork, a commitment to make the best use of resources, and a passion for overcoming challenges. And this same culture continues to serve as the foundation of our operations in North America and all over the world. I read a recent news story that referenced a 35% decline in U.S. manufacturing employment between 1998 and 2010. So over a 12-year period, a 35% decline. During that same time period, Honda increased our manufacturing workforce by, guess how much? 35%. And by another 7% since then. So while we continue to invest in facilities, we're also investing in our people. This has been our path in North America. It's also been our way that achievement usually brings new challenges, which is why last fall, our global CEO decided to challenge our manufacturing facilities in North America to step up to a new and larger responsibility. In the coming years, our associates here in North America will play an unprecedented role for an international automaker. We'll have the lead role, taking production know-how for key global models and transitioning it to other plants around the world. This fall, sometime this fall, Honda will reach the 1 million mark in total automobile exports from the U.S. to global markets. And by the way, that doesn't include shipments to Canada, which are part of NAFTA. These 1 million vehicles were sent to places like Japan, China, and many markets in Latin America, Europe, and the Middle East. So again, with this increased export role, our associates will need to learn even more about the requirements of those other markets outside of North America, the needs of those customers, and how we can exceed their expectations. For this year, in 2012, we'll export about 100,000 vehicles, with the expectation that this annual total will double in the coming years. And beyond that, we're expecting an almost 70% increase this year in the export of major parts to Honda plants in South America, Europe, and Asia. This represents a substantial increase in business for many of our North American parts suppliers, and we have 600 of them. And these parts exports, we expect them to continue to grow in the coming years. So this new responsibility will be an incredible challenge, but the key to our success is now and always has been our people and how we work to advance their skills. It's one of the unique attributes of the Honda way. So that bold challenge from our global CEO is something that our entire team in North America is very excited about. We've known a lot of success over the past 30 years, and we intend to continue to win in the future. In fact, I think it's a lot like our fortunes in IndyCar racing. Recently, we supported IndyCar for 6 years when no other automakers were racing. We looked at it as our responsibility to help maintain this important part of American culture, even during a tough time for business. But our engineers at Honda Performance Development were doing a lot of work behind the scenes with our US-developed Indy engine. And honestly, we feel like we restored order with the big win at the Indy 500 and a couple of more checkered flags since then. Of course, we're not going to win them all, but we love competition, and our racing spirit is as strong as ever. In the same way, we view our business both as a competition, but also as a shared responsibility to contribute to a strong U.S. auto industry. Our industry faces many challenges ahead, including the ever-increasing demands for safety and environmental technologies, new information technologies, and of course, global competition. But we've learned so much, and we've gained so much from our experience in America. After 30 years of building cars here, our challenging spirit and the abilities of our associates are quite alive and well. And now we're ready to utilize these capabilities and leverage them against the new challenges in an effort to create new value for our customers and for our industry. And as ever, we look forward to the competition.
Tune in for another episode of Right Track Motoring.